How many times have you turned out the lights, put your head on the pillow, and your mind just suddenly switched on? Yesterday's conversation, what you should have said back, what you left unsaid, the email you still haven't sent, the bill due this Friday, the way he looked at you and you pretended not to notice, what your mother said on the phone, that one mistake from 10 years ago that doesn't change a single thing anymore, but it keeps coming back as if it happened yesterday. And it's not just at night, my darling. It's in the shower, it's in traffic, it's in the middle of a conversation where your body is present, but your head is somewhere else, reviewing, anticipating, creating scenarios that might never even happen. And suddenly it's 3 in the morning. You are exhausted, but your mind won't stop. It replays what's already passed. It invents what hasn't even arrived yet. It turns a simple sentence into a full-blown crisis. All at once, all in the dark, all alone. And the worst part isn't the fatigue. The worst part is the question that comes with it. Am I losing my mind? Is there something wrong with me? There isn't, my darling. And in this video, I'm going to prove that to you. Hello, my darling. This is Diane, and welcome to your moment. If you've made it here, I already know one thing about you. Your mind gives you no rest, and it's likely been this way for a long time. Perhaps so long that you don't even remember what it feels like to have silence inside your own head. To have a moment of peace without it being followed by a checklist of worries, a lingering regret, or a demand you placed on yourself. I know because I've been right where you are. I used to be the woman who woke up more exhausted than when she went to bed, not because of my body, but because of my thoughts. My mind was working overtime, reviewing, planning, blaming, anticipating. I spent my entire day solving problems that didn't even exist yet. And at night, when everything went quiet on the outside, the noise on the inside became deafening. I thought it was normal. I thought it was just being responsible. That this was just how every woman functioned. After all, who would worry if I didn't? Who would think of everything if I didn't? Until I realized there is a massive difference between thinking and destroying yourself with thought. And most of the women I knew, strong, intelligent, caring women, were stuck in that second mode without even realizing it. Running on autopilot, thinking that mental fatigue was just part of being an adult. So, I went to work. I started studying to understand what happens when the mind gets stuck in this nonstop cycle. Why it does this. What feeds the loop. And what I discovered changed the way I handle my own thoughts. Not because I found a magic formula, but because I finally understood what was actually happening. And once you understand, you stop fighting against yourself. That is exactly what I want to share with you today. In this video, I'm going to explain 3 things. First, why the female mind tends to work this way. And no, it's not a weakness. It has to do with how we were raised, what we were taught to carry, and that invisible mental load that no one acknowledges but weighs us down every single day. Second, the difference between thinking with purpose and ruminating on autopilot, because they are completely different things, and confusing the two is what keeps the cycle spinning under your radar. And third, I'm going to teach you 3 simple, practical techniques to take back control of your thoughts. No miracle promises here. Just small, real things you can start using today, before you go to sleep, before the next spiral starts. If you feel like your mind is your constant companion and your worst enemy all at once, stay with me. This video was made for you, my darling. Let me describe a scene for you. Tell me if this sounds familiar, my darling. You're in the middle of your day. Maybe you're at work, cooking dinner, or driving, doing something that should have your full attention. But your head isn't there. It's replaying a conversation you had this morning. Something someone said. Maybe it wasn't even a big deal. But your mind took that one sentence, spun it around, analyzed it from every single angle, and decided there was something underneath it. A certain tone. A look. A hidden agenda. And just like that, you're building an entire world in your head. What she meant by that. What you should have snapped back. What's going to happen the next time you see them? You're rehearsing dialogues that will never happen. You're bracing yourself for fights that might never take place. And meanwhile, the chicken burns in the oven. The light turns green, and you don't even notice. Because your body is right here, but your mind is in a place that doesn't even exist. There's a name for this. It's called rumination, the cycle that never ends. Rumination isn't the same as thinking. Thinking has a direction. Thinking leads you somewhere, to a decision, a solution, an understanding. Rumination is different. Rumination is your mind walking in circles. Same path, same conclusions, same heavy weight. You never get anywhere, but you can't seem to stop. It's like a washing machine that gets stuck on the same cycle. The clothes never get clean, the machine won't shut off, it just keeps spinning, 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 and you're trapped right inside with it. And do you know what the worst part is? You try to stop. You tell yourself, just stop thinking about it. But the harder you try, the louder those thoughts come back. That's how rumination works. It feeds on your resistance. The more you fight it, the bigger it grows. The catalog of horrors. The cruelest part is that your mind doesn't pick happy things to replay. It's not reminiscing about the compliment you got at the grocery store last week. No, it goes straight for the mistake, the embarrassment, the regret. That one thing you said during a meeting 5 years ago that nobody else even remembers. But in your head, it's as vivid as if it happened yesterday. And when it's not the past, it's the future. Catastrophic scenarios. What if I lose my job? What if something happens to my kids? What if I get sick? What if he leaves me? Your mind invents full-blown tragedies, beginning, middle, and end, about things that haven't even happened. And your body reacts as if they were real. Your heart starts racing. Your stomach knots up. Your sleep vanishes. Because to your brain, there's no difference between what actually happened and what you just imagined. The reaction is the same. The pain is the same. The exhaustion is the same. It's not craziness. It's survival. Perhaps the most important thing I need to tell you right now is this, my darling. You aren't losing your mind. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it learned to do over your entire life, watching, scanning for danger, predicting the worst-case scenario to try to protect you. This is a survival mechanism, and for a long time, it actually kept you safe. The problem is that it doesn't have an off switch, and when a mind lives in red alert mode all the time, without a pause or a truce, it doesn't rest. It burns out, and you feel that burnout in your body, in your patience, in your memory, and in your motivation to do anything at all. But the question remains, why does this happen to us so often? Why are so many women living exactly like this? Because we were trained for this, my darling. Since you were a little girl, you learned to pay attention to everything. Your father's mood when he walked through the door after work, the tone of your mother's voice, the vibe at the dinner table. You learned to read the room before you even knew how to read a book, to anticipate tension, to avoid conflict, to smooth things over before they could explode. No one handed you a manual. No one sat you down and said, "From now on, you are responsible for the emotional well-being of everyone around you." But that is exactly what happened, little by little, silently. Through looks, through expectations, through phrases like, "You're so mature for your age," and "I'm so glad I can count on you." And you absorb that role as if it were your birthright, as if taking care of everything and everyone was simply what women do. You were raised to be a sentry, and a mind that is constantly on guard never gets to rest. The invisible load. And then, you grew up. What used to be paying attention to your parents' moods turned into paying attention to everything. What your boss meant by that specific wording in his email. How your friend felt when you had to cancel lunch. What your teenager isn't telling you. What your husband is thinking but not saying. You carry a mental to-do list that never ends. The dentist appointments, the PTA meetings, your mother-in-law's birthday gift, the prescription that needs a refill, the mortgage payment, the grocery list. And nobody sees this list. Nobody even knows it exists. But it's there, running in your head 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Meanwhile, everyone thinks you're fine because you just keep functioning. There's a name for this, mental load. And it is heavy, my darling. It is truly heavy. It's not drama. It's not an exaggeration. It is your brain operating as if it's managing a Fortune 500 company, with no lunch break, no weekends, and no vacations, and without anyone even acknowledging the work you're doing. The price your body pays. And here is what few people talk about. This repetitive cycle of thoughts doesn't just exhaust your mind, it exhausts your body. When you ruminate, your brain activates the exact same areas it uses when facing a real physical threat. It releases the same hormones. It maintains the same fight or flight state of alert. It's as if you're running away from a danger that isn't there. But the energy drain is real. The wear and tear is real. The consequences are real. That's why you're forgetting things. That's why your fuse is getting shorter. That's why you snap at the little things and then beat yourself up for it later. That's why you reach the end of the day feeling like you've accomplished nothing, even though you've done everything. It's because the rumination burned through your fuel before you even had a chance to use it. You aren't weak, my darling. You are exhausted by a system that never shuts off, a system no one ever taught you how to unplug. But what if I told you that you could turn it off? Not completely, not forever, but just enough for you to feel like the owner of your own head again? Now, I need to tell you something that might change how you see yourself from this day forward. I want you to pay close attention because it is simple, but it is powerful. You are not your thoughts. I'm going to repeat that because I need it to sink in deep, my darling. You are not your thoughts. They pass through you. They show up. They scream. Sometimes they feel so real, so urgent, and so true that you'd swear they were reality itself. But they aren't. They are signals. They are alarms. They are old patterns repeating the same tired story. And you do not have to obey every single one of them. And here is the turning point. There is a massive difference between thinking and ruminating. Confusing the two is exactly what is keeping you stuck. Thinking is when you sit down and say, I need to handle this situation. Then you analyze it, weigh your options, and make a choice. Thinking has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Thinking moves you forward. Ruminating is when a thought catches you off guard without an invitation or permission and drags you back to the same old place. There is no decision at the end of it. There is no conclusion. There is only weight, only repetition, only exhaustion. And when one cycle ends, another just like it begins, and another, and another. It's like the difference between walking to a destination and pacing in circles on the same block. In both cases, you are moving. But only in one of them do you actually get somewhere. And do you know why no one ever taught you this? Because we were raised in a culture that confuses worry with care. A culture that thinks overthinking is a sign of responsibility. We've been led to believe that if you stop worrying, something bad will happen. As if your worry is some kind of magical protection. As if worrying a lot is the same as loving a lot, but it isn't, my darling. Constant worry doesn't protect anyone. It only drains you. And while you are spending all your mental energy reviewing what's already happened and fearing what's yet to come, you are missing the only thing that actually matters, the right now. The moment where you are alive. The moment where you still have a choice. And perhaps the hardest part to hear is this. Until you learn to tell the difference between a useful thought and a thought that is trapping you, you will keep believing that every thought deserves your attention. They don't. Some thoughts exist simply because your mind is on autopilot. They don't need an answer. They don't need an analysis. They need to be recognized and then let go. The good news? This is a skill you can learn, and I'm going to show you how right now. I'm going to teach you 3 techniques. 3 simple things you can start using today. You don't need to memorize all 3, and you don't need to apply them all at once. Just pick one. Just one. And start right there. The first is called the 90-second rule. It starts with a piece of information that completely changed how I handle my feelings. When an emotion shows up, fear, anger, guilt, anxiety, it moves through your entire body in about 90 seconds. 90 seconds. That is the exact amount of time it takes for your nervous system to release those hormones, activate the physical reactions, and process the surge. After those 90 seconds, The original emotion has actually passed. Your body has already done its job. So, why does it feel like it lasts for hours or even days? Because your mind restarts the cycle. It grabs that emotion just as it's trying to leave, pulls it back in, and starts feeding it with thoughts. What if this happens again? I shouldn't have done that. This always happens to me. And then your body reacts all over again, and your mind feeds it all over again. The cycle restarts, not because the emotion is too strong, but because your mind won't let it go. The technique is simple. When that thought hits, when that emotion tightens its grip, you stop, you breathe, and you say to yourself, 90 seconds. That's it. You don't have to fix anything in that moment. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to react. You don't have to find an answer. You just have to wait for your body to process the surge. During those 90 seconds, pay attention to what you feel in your body, my darling. The tightness in your chest, the lump in your throat, the heat in your face, your hand clenching without you even realizing it. Just observe it. No judgment, no rush. And notice how, little by little, it starts to fade. Because it does pass. It always passes. What stayed behind before wasn't the emotion itself. It was your mind holding on to what your body had already let go of. You don't have to control the emotion. You just have to stop feeding it. The second technique is even simpler, and you can use it anywhere, in the middle of a workday, standing in line at the grocery store, or lying in bed at 3 in the morning. It's called labeling. It works like this. When a repetitive thought shows up, instead of diving into it, you give it a name. You can say it out loud or just say it in your mind, but you must label it. This is fear. This is old guilt. This is anticipatory anxiety. This is my mind trying to control something I simply cannot control. Does it sound a bit silly? I know. But listen to what happens when you do this, my darling. When you are inside the thought, you are the thought. You don't even realize you're ruminating. You're just feeling it. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels like the absolute truth. Everything feels like it needs an immediate answer. But the moment you stop and say, "This is fear," something shifts. You step out of the thought and start observing it from the outside. You stop being the person who is consumed by fear and become the person who noticed they are feeling fear. And that difference is everything. It's like being lost inside a dense forest and suddenly climbing to a higher vantage point to see the whole woods from above. The trees are still there, but now you can see where you are. You can see that there is a way out. Labeling the thought strips away its power. It doesn't eliminate it. It doesn't make it vanish instantly, but it removes the urgency. It takes away that feeling that you need to fix it right now, answer it right now, or panic right now. Because when you name what you're feeling, you step back into the driver's seat. You don't have to fight the thought, my darling. You just have to recognize it for what it is and let it pass. And the third technique is my absolute favorite because it brings you right back into your body when your mind has wandered way too far. It's called sensory anchoring. You know that moment when you realize you've been ruminating for 20 minutes and didn't even notice the time passing? When your mind has dragged you to a place that doesn't even exist? That is what anchoring is for, my darling. You use your senses to reconnect with the present. Stop wherever you are, take a deep breath, and mentally answer, what am I seeing right now? The wall, the window, the light from the lamp? What am I hearing? The hum of the AC? A dog barking down the street? The silence? What am I touching? The fabric of my jeans, the back of the chair, the warmth of the coffee mug in my hand? That's it. You are telling your brain, I am here, right now, in this place, in this body. And when you do this, the mind that was busy inventing scenarios and replaying the past is pulled back to reality, because your senses only function in the present. They don't exist in the past or the future. And that is why this technique works. It interrupts the autopilot and gives you back control. Use it before bed, in the middle of an anxiety spiral, in traffic, anytime you feel like your mind has hijacked you. These 3 tools won't silence your mind forever, but they will give you something you didn't have before. The choice not to get lost inside your own thoughts. If you clicked on this video, it's because you already know it's time. Time to stop putting yourself on the back burner. And the ebook, The Woman I Forgot to Be, is the first step on this journey. It's a self-discovery guide created for women who are ready to put themselves first, maybe for the first time in their lives. The link is pinned in the first comment. You don't have to feel ready, my darling. You just have to take the first step. Before I go, I want to ask you a question, and I truly want you to answer in the comments. What is the one thought that haunts you the most? That one thing that always comes back, that won't leave you alone, that shows up the second everything gets quiet. It might be a single word, a phrase, a specific situation. Write it down below, because when you take a thought out of your head and put it out into the world, even if it's just in a video comment, it immediately loses some of the power it had over you. And I read every single one, my darling. Every single one. And if this video resonated with you, if at any point you recognized yourself in what I said, I need to ask you a favor. Share this video with a woman you know who is living this way too. Someone who also can't shut her mind off. Someone who also thinks she's losing her mind. She needs to hear that she isn't. Sometimes all a woman needs is to know she isn't alone in what she's feeling. And this video can be that reminder for her. This channel exists for that very reason, so that you have a place where someone understands, where you don't have to explain yourself or justify anything, where you can just show up, breathe, and recognize yourself. Thank you for staying until the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, okay? Tell me in the comments, which part made the most sense to you? Take care of her. She's waited long enough. I'll see you next week, my darling.